Hi, I'm Karen Fritz, and I hope you're ready to have some fun learning about powerful secrets behind successful virtual teams. This is all about how to lead your team to greatness without sucking the life out of you, because that sucks. What we want to do is help you to build that lifestyle business that lets you be fully present, giving your gift to the world, and have that sense of support and trust that there's a team behind you actually getting done the things that need to be done to make that business flow smoothly. You ready? Here we go. What I want to know first is if you're in the right place, and probably you do too. This course is going to be for you if you feel like you're a transformational messenger, a coach, a healer, a strategist, and you have so much good you want to give to the world. You're really, really creative, right brain. You have more ideas than you can possibly do. And if you're like most of my clients, you have so many things going, so many plates you're spinning, that you're not really even sure what's out there and what you've got going on and how the pieces fit together. A lot of this is about integration. The fact is, you're just too busy to be able to grow your business to the next step. And when you think about what that next step might look like and how the pieces fit together for all of these initiatives you want to take, plus what's already on your plate, it probably looks something like this, right? So it's like such a mess of spaghetti, and there's this piece and it's connected with this. It's not just connected, it's tangled, right? So this picture, yes, it comes from a different industry, but it's how our brains feel when we're in the middle of all of it and so busy creating and yearning to grow, but also trapped by not knowing how to get the quality support that we want in our business. So what we really want to have is the ability to have the time to focus on your clients, create more income and more impact, right? Getting out there, being seen, and letting people hear your message more widely while still getting to have a life, because that having a life part is a lot of what our message is about, right? I know it is for me, and I'm on the technical side. So for the people who are working in the transformational field, we never want the technology to be your roadblock. That's why we're doing this piece. We want to have a supportive team to fill in those areas that aren't your gift. I'm sure you've heard it. If it's not your gift, it's not your job. Just stop that, right? We need you. We need you. The world needs you out delivering your message and changing lives. So we want the technology to just work, damn it. Just work and keep working. What you really want is someone to help you do this back-end stuff so that you get to shine in your genius. What you want is to have somebody who truly understands your message and your mission and is just as committed to that as you are, but with different gifts. So let me tell you a little bit about where I'm coming from in this. I went through the whole university thing and the corporate thing. When I worked at Hewlett-Packard, I was a software project manager, so I understand steps and processes. But I was also working on several corporate-wide initiatives. So I understand trying to get people involved and integrated when they're not sitting in the same room. From there, I graduated from HP in 1991 and went on to contract back, primarily doing training development, which is why I love this modality to be able to connect with you. I have this background in how to take complicated systems and make them understandable. so that you actually get to see behavioral changes and the application of new skills in your day-to-day life, right? This is not about philosophy. This is not about theory. This is not about giving you a whole bunch of information. This is about letting you have the actual tools and skill building so that you show up and you get that VA in place. You have that support team. You have the computer doing its work, and they all work together because you know how to do that skillfully. This is about being able to take those skills that I've developed as a coach myself and bring them in to understand what it is that you're actually wanting to build, right? I went through all the marketing funnel classes and all the speaking classes and all of the things when I got my coaching certifications to go out and give that gift. Then I had a health crash. And when I started coming back, I really went within and I said, what is uniquely mine? The world so needs these transformational gifts, but here's my real why. Here's my backstory. I grew up gifted. I was really, really smart. I can't claim credit for it. I came that way. That was the divine design for this one. And because I was so smart, I heard a different message growing up from what most people hear. What I heard was, you can do anything. You're so amazing. You can do everything, right? And this was exciting. As a child, it's exciting to an adult. Let's all be honest here. But that feeling of I can do everything, I can do anything meant that the only limiter was time. And to be able to fit in all the things that I wanted to study and learn about in quantum physics and psychology and spirituality and systems, all of these different areas, to fit it all in, I became really, really good at time management, as it was called then. Bought all the planners, loved to create my own, and I was really, really into it. The flip side was that growing up smart, although the adults loved me, a lot of times my peers didn't. And I was not chosen for the dodgeball team. Unless it was a spelling bee, basically, I was not going to be on the team. So there were a lot of interpersonal woundings that happened then that showed up when I went to build my coaching into a business, because I had never gained skillful means in those relationships. And so I had a really hard time with marketing. And the truth is, I failed as a coach. I failed in the coaching business because I never got over the marketing hurdle. It played to my weaknesses before I was allowed to get into the strengths and the gifts that, the clients I did have said it was wonderful. But I couldn't grow it because that interpersonal point was my weakest link. So I didn't get to play to my strengths. So when I'm coming back from having been ill and looking at the current coaching field, what I realized was so many coaches out there love loving on their people. And their weakest link is the technology. It's the systems. It's getting all that back office stuff to play together. And I'm good at that. So wouldn't it be better for me to come back into the field and be able to support all of the coaches and transformational messengers getting out there and doing that world transformation, life by life, helping our world to grow and evolve, and never again having technology be their roadblock because it was having to get through their weakest link before they could get to their strength, right? So my setback became the actual gift that I want to be able to give. I never want you to be held back by systems, team, technology. That part I want to help you to just get evened out and running smoothly so that you can give your creative gift and never be limited in receiving your divine guidance and go out and make your difference. So the pieces that we want to talk about today in actually being able to get out and get that gift, give that gift, okay, are on the team side of it. How do you build a successful team? Because frankly, we've all heard of people who brought in somebody who just didn't do the work, brought in somebody who brought a bunch of drama with them and just wasn't fun to work with, brought in somebody who tried to take over and change everything and just didn't have the same commitment to the existing mission. So we want to make sure you are set up from the start to have a team that's going to work for you and help your whole mission to be successful. So we're going to cover 4 different keys today to building this castle of having a successful transformational messenger business. The first one is getting the right person into the right position. Who is that person? How would I even know? Where do they really belong? All that. Bring them into your organization properly. Make sure they have the training. Make sure expectations are clear. You can't just dump them into a pot of boiling water. And then delegating effectively so that the things that need to get done actually get done without drama. Yay! And finally, celebrating successes. All of them. Not even just the big milestones, but the little pieces and the steps along the way. You have somebody to celebrate with. You get to celebrate your people. All of it matters. Because we want this castle to really be beautiful and great. What we don't want is for you to be building a castle in the sand, right? We don't want it to wash away with the first wave or the first rain. So in order to make sure that it's going on to a solid foundation, before we even get into these 4 points, I want to talk about the foundation that underpins success across all 4 of them. If you don't have the foundation firmly in place, you're going to get mixed results at best. And even if you implement these 4 steps flawlessly on a foundation of sand, it can wash away. The right person is gone. And again, you're left with having to build it again at risk. So we want to make sure that your foundation is secure. And this foundation is about understanding and living from your values, specifically in your business operations. So let's dive into this for a few minutes. We want to look specifically at being able to know where creatives often go wrong in building out their team. We are the creative types. We are the right brain ones. Some of us also have a left brain tendency. That would be putting it mildly for me. But it's about recognizing where it is that the mismatch happens. So the first one is the area of time. The fallback is always, oh, I'll just do it myself. It's easier for me to do it myself than to try to show someone what I want because I don't really know what I want. There's a hint for you, right? Or to try and fit into somebody else's blueprint or proven system that was actually built for a left brain person, right? Or built for somebody who is always consistent and able to compartmentalize and shows up like a robot, which is where most of the old time management systems come in. They were built for production lines, for improving efficiency of males on a production line, doing the same thing over and over and over again. And none of that describes me, and I doubt very much it describes you either. So those systems, you gotta be able to blossom your own system from within, rather than trying to cram yourself into somebody else's system. The next area where people can get in trouble is on team and hiring people without knowing clearly what the contribution is going to be, what their job is going to be. Or saying, yeah, come in and do this for me and tell me when it's done. right? Take care of my social media for me, bye. And actually abdicating our leadership from the team rather than being fully present and engaged and delegating. How's this going? Is there anything you need right now? I want to have this show up at this time, and letting those be clear communications. Another problem that I see is choosing a provider, a VA or a service provider, who might be the lowest cost provider, or it might be somebody who's very high cost because they've got the system and they'll just implement it for you. But the truth is they don't really match your values. And they're committed to something that might be not quite aligned with your mission. They might be looking to maximize traffic even if it's not to your people, or using whatever means it takes. And you kind of like, you look at it and you go, I'm really glad for the traffic, but I'm not so sure that I wanted to have my name on that. Right? So values, again, it comes back to that. And then in the area of technology, going out and saying, oh, everybody's using this latest tool, I'll buy it and it'll fix everything, when you're not really sure yet what it is that you're trying to fix. Or I need one of those, and I need some autoresponders, and I need a team management system, and putting these pieces in place without thinking about how they fit together. So basically all of these boil down to jumping ahead and trying to use technology or systems that your business hasn't fully grown into yet. There's no point in that. So when you do systems that don't really fit, it looks bad and it feels worse. Very, very uncomfortable. So what's the secret behind the secret to having successful teams? The secret behind the secret is you want to know not only that your team is able to do activities together, but to know who they're going to be together, right? That matching values, building a culture that matches your mission. It has to be aligned. It has to be coherent throughout everything you do. And when you have that aligned support system behind you and you know how to be together, then it's safe for you to delegate the running of your team, right? You can do this with trust. You get to show up as the inspirational leader. You're not in there having to micromanage because somebody's going to drop a ball on the floor, right? They've got it because they understand and they're committed to the mission too. And what you want to work toward is having a team in place that's aligned on mission, and then being able to bring in a head of that team, a program manager, some people call them a business manager, a director of operations, that you can trust implicitly to not only get the work done in alignment with your mission, but handle that internal culture and treat your people just as beautifully as you treat your clients, right? Both sides matter. So let's look at a little bit around what it is to bring through these values. Underneath our values is something called your ethos. And this is the spirit or the attitude of a culture, right? It's kind of a flavor. It's not always delineated, although I suggest that we do that, but it's the perfume of being in that organization. It's what makes people excited to come to work each day, to give their contribution and their piece toward your mission. Your piece is probably being out in front, being visible to the world. Other people love having the supportive pieces that nurture you and nurture the other operations inside your business. So the ethos is kind of the spirit behind what's going on. From those roots, grow the trunk and the limbs that are your values. This is the thoughts, the standards, the beliefs of what it is that we can say, that we believe together, how we think things should be, people should be treated. These are our values, and really knowing what's deeply important to us and what's not so important. Different people have different values, and it's a good thing, right? What you want to do is, from all of the potential virtual assistants out there, find the ones whose values are aligned with yours. From that thought level, then we get into the actual actions. And these are going to be your operating principles. These are the branches off of your limbs. How do you know when it shows up? How do you want customers to be treated based on these values? How do you want the planet to be treated based on your business values? How do you want to generate profits based on your business values, right? So these actions, how it shows up outside, reflect the thoughts, which reflect the spirit or the perfume of where your mission is coming from. And when you know that, you can start to get into your standard operating procedures, right? This is where you give very clear instructions. If you were running a brick and mortar office, it might be to tell your receptionist, I want the phone always answered by the third ring. Okay, so that's a standard operating procedure. When the invoices come in, please mark them received on the date and then put them in the pile to be paid, right? Specific steps, but they reflect the principles, which reflect the values, which reflect the ethos, right? So this is where we're going, to make sure that every blossom in your business operations matches your beingness just as much as your marketing strategy or your actual client delivery, right? It's all part of the same fabric. So what I'm going to do now is go ahead and put this handout into the chat box for you, which is a worksheet that lets you look at what your values actually are. And the key is really coming from within yourself. When you do this worksheet, don't be coming from, well, I know I should care about that, and my mother says I should care about that, and my family culture was to care about these things. It has to be directly between you and Source. It has to be your divine guidance and knowing what it is that you individually are here to embody. So going through these values, the exercise has you go through and you pick 10, just circle them from a list, write in any ones that aren't there, that's great. And then start cutting them down. Cut them down to 5 and cut it down to 3. You want to have 3 key values that you're working from in your business organization. That makes it easier for everybody in your organization to know, to have that clarity, to have that shared, that commonality, so that we're on the same page and we're going to treat each other well, right? Now, what we're going to do is look at going through that. And this happens to be just the ones that I have in my business, right? Because, you know, I could pick some arbitrary ones, or I could go through mine as an example. So my roots, my ethos, what I'm coming from, include wisdom from a lot of spiritual study and psychology study, having capacity for the chaos and the complexity and the whole of my client, just adoring people. The clarity, now this is the gift I was given, is to be able to see that clarity in complexity. So that's where I'm coming from. I'm always looking toward evolution and blossoming of what's already present, and then potency, having an impact, making a difference, and doing that from a very powerful place. So the values in my business that I have based on that are to create a transformational workplace. One of my beliefs is that business itself is the ultimate path of transformation. A path of personal transformation and a path of planetary transformation. This is how the world is going to be able to shift and people still live within it. That's my come from. I'd love to work with people who are aligned with me. Eh? I want to have delighted customers. I want my customers to feel like, wow, I got what I wanted. I actually got what I wanted, right? Sometimes that's a surprise. And it was fun to do. And I feel like I could go out and do even more. And just this sense of delight in having things be easy and playful and yet really practical. I have a business value of sustainability. And this operates on a lot of levels. I am responsible for putting on my own oxygen mask. For my business to be sustainable, I have to take care of my health, mental, emotional, spiritual, all of it. And I have to take care of my business's health. I have to have the proper structures. I have to have profits for the business to be able to sustain itself. And I want to be able to take care of my clients and have that be sustainable and be a positive impact on the environment. I mean, everything counts, right? I recycle papers that I do get. I go paperless when I can. When I get papers, I recycle because that's just what I do. But I can also say it's aligned with my sustainability values. And then finally, seeing business itself as a force for good in the world. To use business as a platform for environmental conservation, as a platform for social justice, to be careful who I hire and how can I uplift them in their lives, to really serve my clients and going out and choosing clients who are making a difference in the world that's aligned for me. So by identifying these values, then I've been able to go in and define what these actually mean. All those words that I've just given you about my values, they're on my website because I really want people to know where I'm coming from. And I hope you will put your mission and values on your website too. And then saying, all right, given those values, how do they actually show up in my business? And this is, the principles that I build my business on and that I promote for my clients. Things like the highest role in business is to create jobs. And the highest role of a leader is to create other leaders. Right? So it's not about holding people down, getting the most you can for the cheapest amount and treating them like dirt. It's always about, I'm committed to this mission, and in that process, how can I elevate every person's life that I touch? Okay? So these are the principles that my business is built around. And by knowing these, I know that I'm not going to end up with a castle built on sand. So now, knowing those principles, right, and knowing how important it is to know your values, let's look at how those show up in the actual 4 keys to your castle that I mentioned before. The first one that we want to talk about is the hiring process. When you hire someone, how do you know they're going to be aligned with your values? Now, as we go through this, we're going through this at I want to give you the overall tour of how these things work and how they fit together. Please know, this is an hour talk. I'm not going to go into the actual details of how to build your interview questions and how to identify your key processes. That's what we go into later, and I work in depth with my clients. But for here, I want you to know, these are the things that I need to have in place to know that I'm building a solid foundation. So the first one, getting the right person into the right position. When you're looking to hire someone, yes, of course, you want them to be competent. You want them to be able to do the job you're hiring them to do. Do they have the skills? Do they know the tools that you're working with? What's their experience? You might even check with some of their references, right? But you want to know, what do they already have to know and what are you willing to train them on? You might have a very carefully built out implementation in Kajabi. You expect them to know Kajabi. You might need to train them a little bit on where your implementation fits in and how it works. So those are the kinds of levels where you need to know for competency. what you're going to ask them about. On the culture side, see, this is where we're bringing in the values. How do you know when your values are being respected? And how do you know when your values are being disrespected? This is not a match. If somebody says this kind of a thing to me, it's not going to be a match. Personally, I would have a lot of trouble working with somebody who had, say, a difficulty with swearing, right? Because sometimes I swear. I'm very spiritual and I swear. But that might be something that I would let slip in the interview to see if that's going to be okay, or if somebody just absolutely that violates their values. So it wouldn't be a match. So how do you want to feel with somebody when deadlines are looming? How do you want to feel when you're managing dependencies, right? Somebody needs to get this done so that some other, but your Infusionsoft person needs to get the opt-in form code together so that your website person can put it on the website. These kinds of dependencies. And how do you want people to handle that kind of interaction, right? Is it quick and dirty, get it done, just hand it off? Or is it connect with the person and make sure that I know what they need, build what they need, and then connect and give it to them, and then check back to make sure that they have everything they need for them to be successful? Now, how are you going to know if somebody does that? You design it into your ad, and then you design it into your interview questions. How do you want people to communicate with you? And how do you want exceptions to be communicated? I have a template and a whole checklist of going through these things and doing that translation from values into interview questions, right? So that's something that I go deeper with my clients. But here, I just want you to see that you need to consider both of these in addition to things like, how do you feel about time zones? Do you want to work with somebody who's on the opposite side of the clock from you? So everything basically takes a 24-hour turnaround. Do you want to work with somebody who is the lowest possible price, right? You're just going to shop them down and see if you can cut their price when you're trying to sell premium packages. There might be a disconnect there. So there are other things to consider as well. As you're going through this as a process, right? It's basically write the ad, you're starting a relationship. Think of it like those dating ads. What qualities do you want to say you've got, and who are you looking to attract? Let it be very, very playful. Then go back and polish it to the degree that matches the culture you want to create. When you start to get your resumes or responses back, I like to check things for the 5 C's. And this is something that I came up with when I was developing corporate training, right? It was how I checked myself. Is it complete? Is it coherent? Does it have a flow to it? Is it clear? Can I understand what this person's trying to say to me? Is it concise, or are they all over the place and just, mixing it all in? And is it correct? You might want to check their references to make sure they've given you correct information. From that, you're probably going to have just a couple people you want to interview, and you want to use behavioral interviewing when you're going through this and really make sure that you're getting at the values pieces and then probe deeper on those to find out whether you can feel the resonance with them. Once you choose somebody, you have to consider getting the right person into the right position. Sometimes somebody is interviewing for, like, I want to do your shareables for your social media. And you're talking with them and you're thinking, wow, they're really good on the phone. Wow, they're really enthusiastic on the phone. I wonder if they would be willing to schedule my speaking gigs, right? So you may intuit that, yes, this is somebody I want to work with. And actually, I think I want them doing this. So you get to pick. The next thing to look at, right? So now we're going to go on to the second key, is bringing people in to your business in a way that they feel like they're already a part of a successful team right from the beginning. You want them to they feel like they're members of a successful team, that they belong. How do I help people feel like they belong? You want to make sure they understand what the expectations are. Obviously there's a lot more here, but I don't have time to get into all of it. Here's the top of the tip of the iceberg that I really do want to share with you today. First of all, guess what? Your training is also going to be based on your values. Yes, you're going to check into the competency side, make sure they know what their responsibilities are, how to get access to the tools, the processes and where your procedures are stored that you will have written by then, and what to do when they need help. Should they just go figure it out? Should they call Intuit, or should they come to you first? It's your business. You get to say how you want that to work. But there's also the culture side, right? How do you want to see your business values in action? How do you want them to be expressed? What is the interaction style? Casual, formal, clipped, like just get out of my face, let me get this done? What do you want from your team interactions and building that circle of belonging? Now, when you go to do your training, there are a lot of different ways that you can deliver training. You can look at making a video of yourself doing the work. You can write out your standard operating procedures, just like a computer manual. You can draw diagrams of this piece of information comes from here, goes through this process, and the next handoff is to that person. However that works in your organization. And you can do it with them. As they sit there and do it, be with them and say, yeah, this is the way that actually works. Oh, sorry, I didn't write that down. Here's what you need to know. And add it to the written instructions, right? So when you're designing your training, you want to make sure that it's going to be generation appropriate, right? If you're working with people of my generation, it wants to be more sequential and linear and clearly delineated. If you're working more with millennials, they would prefer to have multiple forms of input. So they might want to see a video and something written. They might want to have an audio that they can listen to have them rehearse their sales conversation, if that's what they're going to be doing for you. Make sure, though, whatever form that you design this, you allow them the time to actually learn, right? You can't always start doing things right off the bat, or you might not get what you expect. Which brings us to, how do you get what you expect? The third key to your beautiful castle is delegating. Yeah, and if you've ever had a problem with delegating, ever thought it'd just be easier to do it myself, right? It's because you've never been taught to delegate properly. So let's, again, just go through this and look at what's possible when you learn these skills. So the first piece is to know that it's a values-based relationship. Most likely in our transformational business world that you and I both are in, it's about treating your team members as humans. They're not a robot. It's not about just handing something off, throwing it over the wall, hoping they catch it, right? You want to also have a human relationship with them, which means that when you have your weekly team meeting, a little piece of it is going to be checking in so that you can keep the pulse of what's going on with them in their family, faith, fitness, and finances. How are they doing? And not necessarily supporting them, but making sure that they feel heard, and also sharing with them and being a little vulnerable about what's going on with you. But, it's not a girlfriend's chat over latte kind of thing. You do need to also get onto the business end. So there's also, right, balance, the piece of setting boundaries. How long do you want to spend checking in? Is it like the first 5 minutes? Is it 2 minutes? Is it the first half hour? Whatever it is for your culture that you're building, just be clear. When are you available? Yeah, when can somebody ask you questions. And how do you like to be contacted? Would you rather have a text? Do you want everybody on Slack? What is it that works for you? Because a lot of this is building your team to build your lifestyle. And this is where expressing your values is so important. When you do assign things for somebody on your team to work on, you want them to have SMART goals, right? We've all heard about SMART goals. Well, in this case, we're working with our team member to make sure that we're giving them things to work on where our communication is complete. We've got the specifics. What do I want to see? What's the outcome? How am I going to know when it's done and when it's done well? Achievable. Do you agree that this is doable in this time frame? Relevant. This is where the real deep values and culture-based piece comes in. How does this assignment relate to our mission? What is it that they're really contributing in building this piece into this funnel, into this program, whatever it is? Why is this relevant? Because that's going to help them feel engaged with the team. And of course, time-based to make sure they know when it needs to be done for somebody else to be able to do their piece, right? When you're doing this, you want to set it up so that your people are working toward these objectives. You're not just counting like how many calls did you make, right? How many real connections and scheduled appointments came from that, so that you're turning the person loose, you're empowering them. A true leader creates an empowered team. And you're not going to check in with them like every hour and say, well, how many calls did you make this hour? Because that would waste your time. You don't want to micromanage. So by setting these very clear objectives, it also sets you free. And over the course of a few rounds, learning the communication style and the blind spots of each other and so on, you come to a point where as the leader, you can trust your empowered team to actually deliver on those objectives smoothly. That's everything for a team leader. The final key to being able to have this beautiful foundation built for your castle is to know how to celebrate. Everybody's quick to point fingers when things go wrong, but we sometimes underestimate the importance of celebrating. And it's not just the big milestones either. It's everything that is celebratable. Go for it. This is where you build the fun in. And the way you build it in is by understanding the match between your values that you share with your team and the love language of your culture. So this is taken from the 5 love languages, but think about how you're bringing it in. How often can I give somebody on my team words of appreciation? How often can I do some small act of service for them? Where is it that we can have shared activities? You know, even for a virtual team, you know, there might be a time when you all get on and watch a Netflix movie together, or some live stream of an event that would be beneficial to everyone, and then talk about it. Where might you drop them just a little gift? A send-out card or a Starbucks card for them for all the late hours they put in for you, right? Physical touch can be a little bit more challenging, but you can probably find creative ways to do that too. And as you do your appreciation and your celebration, bring back those SMART elements, right? Make it specific. Hey, I really appreciate when you pitched in and you helped out so-and-so on getting through those last 3 things that needed to get onto the website, right? Measurable. I know that you really picked up and you showed up at the event last weekend and you worked the extra 3 hours to make sure that the late registrants were taken care of. Achievable. Not only did you show up, but you were there with a smile and you made sure every one of those late people felt just as welcome. Right? So I'm making this specific and really appreciating them. relevance, and how does that contribute to the mission, right? When we have our people feel welcome, they're much more open to the transformation that I'm delivering in the event room. So you set the stage for them to have a successful event. Thank you so much. These are the kinds of things that we can do with our team that really build in that success factor. So when we create this conscious culture, it's partly in the onboarding and the training, but it's also reinforcing as you go through over the weeks and the months working together. I hope you find people that you want to have a long-term relationship with. We don't want just a one-night stand. We don't want to have to do the hiring thing over and over. We want to be able to build up this culture so that we can really connect and trust with our team. And that means calling it out when it's not working and facing into some of the difficult conversations. And it means reinforcing what you do want and being willing to do that. Give it the time. Don't just assume they get it. And like any other skill, it's something that we practice. So what we want to do is be able to take our values and really bring them into these 4 keys to build the castle. Getting the right person in the right position based on alignment. Bringing them into a culture where they feel like they already belong to a successful team. Delegating in a way that's very respectful of our values. And being able to celebrate in our cultural love language. When we do this, we're helping our business to awaken. Business all over the planet is awakening itself. It's the conscious capitalism movement. It's the B Corp and business as a force for good. And these businesses that are based on purpose and values, somewhat paradoxically, or at least to some people, actually make more profit, 10x. Yep. In a study in 2011, purpose-based businesses made 10 times more profit than others on the S&P 500. So the question then becomes, what about your business? Would it be okay if I share a little bit with you about something I've created to help people get the right people and build that culture? Thanks. So I have spent a lot of time building out this program based on what I hear when I go to events and I'm just talking with people who are at that tipping point of, I need to have a VA, but I don't know what I would have them do. I know I need to get support, but I don't know how to delegate. This kind of stuff that I hear all the time. And with the clients that I do work with, whether it's on a get your programs in place, get your systems set up and your tools configured, or it's coming in and actually being their director of operations. These are the kinds of things that I've learned work and make a difference. And what I want to do is integrate all of these and bring them together so that your business can be established on that firm foundation and aligned with your mission and values from the get-go. So I call this program VA Ready in 60 days or less. And it's based on being able to get ahead of the curve, right? You don't want to be playing catch up all the time. I mean, how much time and energy and money would you save if you could just focus on your big picture, focus on your new initiatives and loving up your clients, right? Think about that. How much money do you make for an average, on an average, in your billable hours, right? In the time that you actually spend delivering your gift? What's your hourly average? And then consider, if you have 1 hour that you offload to a VA, and perhaps they make 10% of that, you could actually offload 10 hours, get back 10 hours for what it would have cost you 1 hour, right? 1 hour of your time is so, so crucial. that hour of your time needs to be delivered to your gift, in your contribution. So if you could have a simple and easy to follow system that would really ensure that your actions are aligned, your team is in place, what would that be worth to you? This program is going to be the one for you if you're tired of being the go-between, right? You have this creative designer who gives you something and then you give it to that person who puts it on the website. You do not want to be in the middle of this all the time. How do you get them to talk to each other? Integration. You are done with the overwhelm of dealing with all these mechanics and all the moving parts. You're ready to get the right people in place, and you're committed to that clear communication. This is how you get to grow your business to that next level with grace. Let's have it be graceful. So the VA Ready program lets you put all these things in place. It is step-by-step approach to being able to have the templates and the checklists so you can do it one piece at a time, clear and simple, 60 days or less, and still be bringing on board the right person or team who's aligned to support you and your mission. I love that I was able to come up with an acronym for this, and it spells READY. It starts with reality. You really do need to start with where are you now, and where do you really want to go? What is it that you most need to delegate first? And the program goes through a very specific way to inventory your business and a way to make decisions that blends intellect and intuition. How does that sound? Then you're going to look at the energy. Where does the energy want to be flowing? In an ideal world, how would you design the flow of getting this piece done, the one you've selected to hand off? How does it need to be done from one person and the computer and another person? Where is the energy flowing? And I will teach you to actually be able to make a graphic of that so that everybody on the team understands the same thing. Then we want to align your automation. Here's where we make the computer do the work. We're going to look at the areas of automation in your business and give you a quick list of different tools to consider, a short list. You don't have to go out there and shop every one of these. That's what I do. I love being a personal tech shopper, but that's not what you love. That's what I love. So for you, we're going to have this list of, you need one from column A and one from column B. It's kind of like your Chinese restaurant menu. And that way, we're going to look at making the computer carry the load and seeing how these things integrate together. Now we're ready to get into the dance. So the D is for the dance of knowing which process, knowing my values, knowing what automation base we have. How do I hire? How do I attract, select, teach, train, and onboard, and build the culture and actually have that ongoing communication and leadership dance with my team members? How do I have some of the difficult conversations? How do I really reinforce the culture that I want to be building? And then we get to yes. This is where you're making sure that things are still on track, assessing your progress. You might have a couple of those difficult conversations to get things back on track, and then making sure you build in the celebrations so everybody is having the fun. When we do this, we really get to deliver that experience we want to be having of our business, right? Your business is part of our lifestyle. I want it to be fun. To make sure this works for you, we've got templates and worksheets and checklists, and the whole course is designed to take these step-by-step journey, to take a step-by-step journey toward getting this in place for you. Because breaking things down and making sure that you have skill in each of those behaviors and actions is part of my background. That comes easily for me. So that's built in. We want to make sure that it's success according to your definition. We want to see a team that's like a support circle. They're as dedicated to your mission as you are. They want to see this change on the planet. They love the kind of tasks that you hate, right? So you don't have to do the stuff you hate anymore. They don't have to do the stuff they hate. They get fed the stuff they love. Woohoo! It's a win-win, win-win. And everybody gets to be happy about having their clarity. I know what's expected of me, what our mutual goals are, and when it needs to be done, and who I need to talk to get it done. So with these in place, your business gets to grow. And this is where we have that grace and ease piece. You get to turn your attention away from so much of the nuts and the bolts and the keeping things running. Your attention, you get to reclaim and give to your mission. You're going to be out there talking with people, teaching your classes, doing your speaking, engaging new clients, and fully delivering, being fully present to them. Or you have time to actually take a vacation, which you haven't been able to do in the past, right? You get to choose how you use this, and you build your own life. As I said, the program is specifically designed to be able to deliver this. And it just goes through those areas: real, ready, R, real, E, energy, A, align, D, dance, and Y, yes. So it's broken out. This is all on the website. You'll be able to see these specifically. Let me tell you a little bit, though, what other people have said about working with me. Laura was one of my clients that I went in, and she said, oh, I just need somebody to come in and manage one event launch. And what she learned was that there was a lot more that needed to be done in terms of strategic planning. And we were able to improve her overall processes and really up-level her systems, even in the process of getting this one event out the door. She's not going to be dependent on any single key team member, including herself, right? She can go on vacation and the business runs. Everybody knows what to do and who they're going to hand it off to. And the communication is all clean. So now she's able to even build her business larger. So she has more impact and influence, and of course, more income from doing that. Other people I've worked with, Rhonda Renee is one of my key clients. I'm the director of operations for her business. But even as we were just getting started, I was like, Rhonda, what do you want to build? What is this all about? Her feedback was, Karen's able to take the jumbled mess in my head and magically transform it into core processes. That kind of clarity is what I want for you to be able to do as well, to be able to take one of those things and build it into a process. So let me tell you a little bit more about the actual program. So what we're doing is launching, right? So this is our launch of the VA Ready in 60 Days or Less program. This will roll out at $9.97 for the complete program, and it includes a coherence meditation that allows you to really tap into your heart and feel the people in your team. That's regularly a $97 value. And I'm including a 1-hour consultation with me because I want to make sure nobody's left hanging with, gosh, I didn't quite get it. Now I've got to move on to the next module, right? Any place in the whole program that you get hooked and you're like, I just am not moving forward on this piece. That's where you use your bonus hour with me and we work through it together and say, okay, here's the thing, and how do we actually move forward so that you have it in a way that you can continue to use it going forward forever. Now, an hour with me is basically $300, so that's a great bonus to have in there. So for this launch, the price is $797. That's a $600 savings, almost half price. That's a great time for you to be getting in there and saying, okay, this is the time of year to get my stuff in place so that when the next launch season comes, all the firm foundation is there. I'm in my castle, not built on sand. So this is where you get to ask yourself, am I really ready to take action, right? Am I going to keep on with the overwhelm and trying to do all the minutia myself and spinning all the plates? Or am I going to step up as a business leader? I'm a thought leader. Am I a business leader? And make sure that my business has the capacity to handle the influx that this transformation in the world is calling for. That's when you know it's time to take action. So how do you do that? Pretty simple. You just go to the website, www.purposedrivenprocess.com/programs/VA ready. And you can read all about the specific order of the modules and the topics that are covered and see what's included in the program. And that's where you get to go ahead and sign up. Now, I do have a guarantee on this. If you come and you do all the modules and you do all the homework and you show me, right, here's all the worksheets that are done, I know that you're going to have a massive improvement in the clarity and communication and productivity of you and your entire team. If you don't, let me know and I'll refund your money. That easy. That's all I want, is for you to know that you've gone through this, you have that foundation built, and you're ready to actually bring in that team member. And oh my gosh, this works. I know what I'm doing. I've built the skills. I'm going to practice them some, but I have the skills and I know I can do this. So now it's the time where you get to go ahead and place your order at purposedrivenprocess.com/programs/VA ready. And I also want to give you, as a gift for staying all the way to the end, a chapter from my book. You can find that at purposedrivenprocess.com/purpositivitybook/chap-gift. It's a chapter gift. Clever name, eh? So that's available for you too. And it'll help you to see a little bit more about making this work for you. So, the big question, what will you do with your one wild and precious life? I hope that we get to play together. Let me know if you have questions, and I look forward to seeing you soon.